All right, here we go. Today is September 24th. Nutrition and Fitness 101. We are going to go directly to Samantha B. Let me get on my share screen. Let me get on her video, and we will move forward expediently.
It is Nutrition and Fitness this evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Samantha B. Okay, I have been waiting all morning, afternoon, now into evening to record my call because life has gotten a little today. So I feel like I have 10,000 things to say, and we're going to try to get it all in. So let me go ahead and set my timer so that I don't go crazy over, and we'll get this show on the road. So the first thing that I want to do is just kind of go over one thing that somebody had messaged me today, which I thought was unbelievably motivating. So it says this: know that you can't be all things to all people. You can't do all things at once. You can't do all things equally well. You can't do all things better than everyone else. You are human like everyone else. So, ... find out who you are and be that. Decide what comes first and do that. Discover your strengths and use them. Learn not to compete with others because no one else is in the contest of being you. Then you'll have ... learn to accept your uniqueness. Learn to set priorities and make decisions. Learn to live with your limitations. Learn to give yourself the respect that it's due, and you'll be the most vital mortal. Dare to believe you are a wonderful, unique person. You are a once in all history event. That it's more than a right. That it's more than a right to be who you are, that life is not a problem to solve, but a gift to cherish, and you'll be able to stay one up on anything that tries to get you down. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much wrapped up into that statement that I want to just let soak in. My favorite, obviously, is understand your strengths and use them, okay? Understand your uniqueness and love them. All those things are so important in your journey of becoming better for the rest. Now, my topics tonight I'm going to talk about muscle, I'm going to talk about sleep and recovery, I'm going to talk about why we do the certain type of trainings that we do, but I want you guys to remember that we're just trying to love ourselves in a respectful manner so that we can live a long and healthy, independent life when it comes forever and forever and forever. Now, for those of us that are training for a specific sport, you might be an exception to some of these training tools, but for those of us that are just trying to be the healthiest version of us, let's go ahead and try to make sure that we're treating our body with as much respect as we can. We're giving ourselves kudos whenever we need to, and we're understanding that we can't be awesome at every single thing in the world, but we can be really good at some things, and that's a very awesome thing to kind of understand. So let's get right to it. So the reason that I chose to talk a little bit about recovery and sleep and so on and so forth is because I myself have been a little bit struggling with sleep and trying to have these outcomes. So I've been doing a little bit more research on sleep patterns, how they affect this, that, and the other thing. And I'm sure there's more than just what I'm going to say to you, but 5 of the the biggest reasons why I thought this was important to share are the following. Number 1, when you get under, and now some people say out loud that they don't need 8 hours of sleep. They say, oh, I function pretty well on 6. Well, that's because you don't know how well you could function, to be honest. That 8 hours has been looked at for a long time, and mostly for people that are actually being active with their bodies. This has to do with output and how you're feeling and so on and so forth. So the first thing when you don't receive 8 hours of sleep is that your time to physical exertion drops by 10 to 30%. That's not 10 minutes, that's not 30 minutes, it's decreasing by 10 to 30%. So that means you will get tired faster, okay? So you can do the exact same workout that you did every single day in front, which you know Samantha B doesn't recommend, but you can do that same workout that maybe you did last week or the week after that, the week after that, and you say, man, I'm so tired. I feel like this is so much harder. It probably is if you're not giving yourself the appropriate amount of rest, okay? Second thing is aerobic output significantly decreases. So your ability to do aerobic events goes down. Doesn't necessarily give us a percentage. Impairments in cardiovascular, metabolic, and respiratory capabilities. Faster rate of lactic acid buildup. And reduction in the amount of air that the lungs can expel. All of those things, along with probably a lot more that come onto it, like another scientific level, but these are just layman's terms that everybody can understand, all are affected by not getting enough sleep, okay? So when you have a super crazy life, you're behind on work, you're behind on workouts, you're behind on food prep, you're behind on family time, you're behind on whatever, and your sleep goes from, oh, here's your nice 8-hour window, and it goes, da-dun, 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 da-dun. Understand that it would be very normal for you to not feel as good during your workouts. If you feel as though that your body's feeling tired, sluggish, your physical exertion is being met 10 to 30% earlier than it was before, if you're feeling like you're feeling less strong, if you're feeling like your cardio is decreasing, if you're feeling like you're, you know, when you doing some type of cardiovascular event and you can feel the blood pumping in your legs or your arms or whatever it happens to be, that lactic threshold build up faster. Those all can be improved by getting enough Z's. So lots of this has to do with this blackboard back here, scheduling, making things that you know that are your strengths, and then prioritizing underneath them. So if exercise is not one of your strengths, you know that you still need to do it in order to provide your body with the exertion that it takes to live this long, healthy, independent lifestyle. You need to rearrange your life in order for you to get there. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not feeling those signs of overtraining. We want to make sure that we're not feeling those signs of under recovery, under sleep. Remember all of your strength, just like in babies, just like you were told growing up as a kid, you grow when you are sleeping. Guess what? You also recover while you are sleeping. So for people that are constantly doing fitness, like you guys now, you need to make sure that you're actually getting sleep. Now, every once in a while, you got a concert to go to, you got some date night with the hubs or the wife, or you got some special event that you're going to stay up late and you're not going to get very much sleep, so be it. Is that going to dramatically affect your output for the month to come? Absolutely not. But if you are regularly not getting enough sleep, you are going to see that into your performance. And I want that to be not a shock to you if that happens. Or if that's happening to you right now and you're like, you know, exercise isn't getting much easier, there's another layer to look at to make sure, hey, am I doing everything? I'm eating everything Mama G's telling me to. Check. I'm doing all the fitness that Samantha B is telling me to. Check. But then you're like, wait a second, I'm only getting 5 hours of sleep most nights of the week. I'm also talking about sleep throughout the night, that you're not waking up, getting up, going to the bathroom, coming back, laying in bed. It's not just time in bed. Remember, that's not just the time that you're actually getting that recovery. It's the time that you're snoozing, getting as much effective rest as possible with that too. Okay, so moving on to the next point. So I want you to be able to sleep because I want you to be able to recover because I want you to be able to build muscle. Now, the word build muscle a lot of times scares women. Doesn't usually scare men as much, but usually scares women because they don't want to have muscle in their body because they don't want to look like Wonder Woman, huge beast, those huge bodybuilding magazines that they have big chests and biceps the size of quads, and they think that that's what it means to put on muscle. And I want to make sure and I want to reiterate that that is not anywhere, in any way, shape, or form, what I want you to do, and it's something that you're never going to be able to do unless you're substantially doing some drugs, probably, or drugs and adding a lot more food. So I want you guys to remember that a couple of things. We have cardiovascular training, mobility exercise, and strength correlated when you hit the experiment, right? Your experiment is kind of that jump start. Now, we put a big emphasis on your cardiovascular requirement because that is the most important muscle in your body. It's actually a muscle, okay? So this muscle is just like the other ones, metabolically active, even more so because it actually, has a lot more work to do during the day than the other muscle in your body. So this is not the only muscles, though, that I want you to be adamant about challenging. And when I say the word challenge, I mean adding applied force, okay? So we have that big cardiovascular requirement to do this, but also to build a foundation of strength, because manipulating your own body weight, like you would do in a stretching class or a yoga class or whatever, is a way to build a foundation of strength, but not a way to load it in a way that resistance training does, and why resistance training is so effective for lean body mass, okay? So we have our cardio, we're going here, we're building our foundation of strength. We have our mobility, which is lots of core, lots of spinal mobility, and then that strength is where we want to grow on top of it. So for those of you guys that are in the experiment right now, or those guys that have already done the experiment, you can work those layers of your first 30 days, your second 30 days, and your third 30 days, and then maybe you're in the lifestyle now, okay? So when you're in your first 30 days, that's really just your opportunity to make sure, hey, I gotta get exercise into my life. I need to make sure my legs can handle standing up for an additional 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour. I need to make sure that I'm making time for this. I need to see where my strength level's at. I'm gonna add some basic strength training for my back, for my core, for my upper body, bis and tris, but I'm predominantly gonna be loading my legs by doing my cardiovascular training, okay? When you move into that phase 2 and phase 3, we start really starting to add to that strength training program. Now, for some of you guys that don't focus on that as much, I want to explain why you want to do that. So we've kept that cardio requirement in. It stays in there because we want to offset some of the calories, some of the additional caloric needs. If you are on a plan that we are trying to only up the calories and try to gain more muscle, we actually probably brought the cardio down a little bit, but it's still there. Now, phase 2, for people that are trying to body comp, you need to make sure that you're actually applying resistance to your muscles, both in your upper body, your abdominals and back, and your lower body, in order to do one thing, and that is change the shape of your body. To do, and I say one thing, but there's a list of things, sorry. So the list starts here. To change the shape of your body, to apply force to improve bone density, and to apply force to improve composition through all limbs, trunk area, and well, all limbs would include your upper body as well. So when you get nervous or focus only on your cardio, remember this. Never forget this. Your heart, which is a muscle, is metabolically active, but so isn't your bicep, your tricep, your quads, your abs, your erectors, which are in your back, your lats, your rhomboids, right in your stabilizers, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves, your anterior tibialis, all kinds of things. So when you aren't using all of those muscles and trying to make those metabolically active, you will not, or you will be, you won't have as easy of a time turning that composition into one that has a lower body fat percentage. That's just how it is. If you haven't realized, weightlifting, powerlifting, weight training has exploded in the fitness industry in the past 5 to 10 years. It's always been around, but now you're seeing more elderly, you're seeing more young, you're seeing more moms, dads, uncles, kids doing all these different exercise programs using resistance-based training. And the reason is obvious. They are getting results that are helping them have a better metabolism, a better composition, and a better overall strength outcome. Who doesn't want all of those things? So remember, we start off the program because of a couple of things: goal, sport, and ability level, okay? So when we're talking goal, the majority of experimenters come in and they want to do a composition change, no matter if that is losing body fat or gaining muscle, okay? So they're in one and the same, kind of. So goal is there, okay? We want to change composition. Then we decide what sport they're in. Now, I have some people that are into golf. I have some people that are into tennis. I have some people that are Spartan racing or looking to Spartan race. Some people that are running. I don't have anybody playing soccer or what's another one? Field hockey. Tennis is one. Tennis is a definitely high intensity, up and down workout. Now, the difference between, hold on, let me just go through it. So we get you into the experiment. We have the why we're doing it this way. We have the goal with the sport, and you get ability level, okay? So if your ability level is that you've been weight training or doing strength training or using resistance, you've been doing some applied force for years and years and years, you're not going to start at the same spot as somebody that has never regularly picked up a dumbbell, okay? Now, that is going to be a completely different graduation, but it should graduate, okay? So no matter where you started at the beginning, you should be growing into phase 2, and you should be growing into phase 3, adding strength training, okay? When we get down to our 90 days, that is where I hope that the strength training, at least 2 times per week, stays in and the cardio drops, because you are in a place that you're at goal, you're feeling good, and you are living a happier, healthier, better for the rest lifestyle, okay? Does that mean that you have to do 3 lifts, 2 hits, 10 blah, blah, blah? No, it means that you have now gotten to a place that you're really comfortable, okay? Comfortable with aesthetics, comfortable with your fitness level, and you are ready maybe to set a goal. Maybe it is something like a tennis match or a hike or a fitness class that you've been waiting to do. Maybe you have now set a goal that you're like, oh, I'm going to go try to train for that. And maybe that's now your goal of training, okay? But maybe the goal now is to just maintain all the work that you have put into up until this point. And that is something that I want you guys to make sure is not removing your strength training, because your strength training allows you to keep or build, minimal build, muscle, which is metabolically active, which allows you to burn more calories at rest. And that is very, very, very important, along with the fact that you are stronger, that you have less questions if you can go out and do something. You have less questions if you're going to hurt yourself. You have less questions if you're going to live a long and independent lifestyle, because you have built this nice, strong base cardiovascularly, strength-wise, and your mobility is there to connect it all together to make sure that you are feeling very, very good, to help with injury prevention, to keep your core engaged through all of this. So I want to make sure that that's very, very clear. So we want to treat our body with a lot of respect. We want to provide it Mama G's lifestyle food. We want to provide it with a balanced fitness macro through your experiment and then into your lifestyle. And we want to make sure that we're getting enough rest. We're doing all these things so that we can be better for the rest, okay? I'm going to share a couple of stories with you guys because I haven't been on really any tangents yet. I just hit a huge goal, something that I've been working on since okay, let's see, I had Logan last September. I'm going to have a 1-year-old this week. So I started training September, October, maybe right after December, so probably January. January, I started weightlifting again, and I said to my coach, what would be something that would be really good? Like, where would you say that I could be, like, that would be really good? Because I came in fairly strong, even though I was postpartum, I had some issues in my core, but baseline was pretty strong. And he told me 2 numbers. One happened to be a 60 kilogram snatch. The other one was an 80 kilogram clean and jerk. And so I hit the 60 on Friday, and then I hit a 78. I did attempt the 80, and I don't feel like I'm too far off. But very, very close in the second one. So, but I was stoked. Can I tell you how good it feels to go for a goal for, say, at least almost 6 months, and to finally achieve it when it comes to strength? I have been using weights, whether I've been weightlifting, powerlifting, weight training with HIIT training, done all kinds of stuff, and I haven't felt this accomplished in so long when it comes to my strength level and just being so proud of myself and proud of my body and what it's able to do. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, because you are allowed to be proud of the work that you put in, because it didn't come from not putting work in. It didn't just miraculously appear. The bar didn't just float. I worked really, really hard on days that felt really challenging, and lifts that did not feel good, lifts that also did feel good. There were times that, I never thought that I would ever hit those numbers. There were times that, I thought that maybe the sport wasn't come out. This past week was one of them. And I want you guys to just hold on, set something, set a goal that is out there, that you may or may not achieve anytime soon, and be okay that it's just there. It's sitting there. It's something that you're working towards, but not 100%. So still working towards that same goal of 60, 80, but I want to do it in front of judges and on a competition platform. So the goal just changes a little bit, and it never goes away. And it's exciting and it's fun. And I know that I'm going to get ready to probably have another baby pretty soon, and my goals are going to completely shift. And for right now, I'm super excited, super proud of myself, and I set a goal and didn't know when it was going to happen, didn't know if it was even going to happen in this year. Happened to hit half of them, and very close to the second one, and I'm just feeling super excited, okay? Another story that I wanted to share with you. We went on a hike on Saturday, which was super fun. We're going to be doing another event on the 3rd week of October. I think it's the 3rd week. I don't have my new calendar up, but anyway, it's coming up. That'll be at Mama G's house, a little Spartan training course. But anyway, we went on a hike, and it was hilly, and it was a beautiful day out, pretty warm. And we had a bunch of people, different fitness levels, all going out, and we're going to do what was called a low intensity steady state workout. Okay, and we went out 45 minutes, came back right around probably 40 minutes coming back, and we got done. Everybody was looking at their charts. It was super fun, interactive, and I really enjoyed people sharing the questions and stuff, because they had actual data to talk about. Number one, very cool when you have data. Number two, data, something that we can, show progression, regression, when it has to do with what we've been working on, So we, have this goal of all this cardiovascular output, and then to see ourselves growing or staying the same is very awesome. So a couple of women that are in the group right now had mentioned some of our newer ones. Cindy was one, and then I think Cindy's friend was one, and then an older one, Michelle. They were like, now that hike right there is low intensity. And they kind of said it to me in a way that was exciting, like in a way that they never thought that could be something that they could do for exercise, and that it would count towards that. And I those are the moments that I get really excited about, because enjoying Mother Nature physically is a God-given blessing. This is part of the reason why the Spartan racing series, if you guys have ever been interested in doing something like that, besides the fact that you might have to do a crap ton of burpees and maybe get out of your comfort zone a little bit in the mud and whatever, the best part that I always thought, I love a physical challenge, don't get me wrong, I love kind of getting into that pain cave for a minute, but there has been moments that I've done Spartan races in the past that I have just looked around. That, I was able to, check out my surroundings and thought to myself, wow, I would never be here. I would never see this. I would never be able to talk to a random stranger hiking up this hill in the middle of nowhere saying, look where we are. So that's a really, really fun thing. And in case you guys haven't noticed, if you haven't worked out with people before, it's a really great way to bond. I spend all my mornings one-on-one with people, and they're pretty intimate relationships when it comes to personal training, because you're breaking it down. You're going to a place where you're very, very vulnerable, and sharing that experience with somebody can be kind of intimidating, but it can be really powerful. And probably the reason that I love my job so much is that the fact that people trust to get that vulnerable with me in a physical way I really appreciate. And to watch them grow and watch them, shock themselves at what they're actually capable of doing is super fun. So just having that opportunity that you can use this program anywhere. If you have to go away on business and you have a 30-minute list, and you could just walk the streets of Nashville or Miami or small town in Maine or Mexico, Maine, or wherever it happens to be, and you can experience life, culture, environment, community, all these things just by doing something really good for yourself, and it could be really good for yourself in multiple ways, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. You don't just exercise for the exercise. I mean, it has a lot to do with a lot of different things. Which brings me to another thing that we had mentioned. I had talked to these ladies a little bit, and I wanted to make sure that I talked to the whole group about this. But the DEXA scan, I mentioned a little bit about Gina doing it. A really, really awesome way to get an accurate body composition reading, but it gives you a really awesome number called your VAT, which will measure your visceral fat. And I spoke to a couple of ladies, and if your stomach is very hard and it kind of goes out away from you, that's an indicator that there's fat surrounding your organs, which is a really dangerous place to be. So this tool isn't like a scare tactic. It's an eye opener. It's a motivator. You have, just like we use for our heart rate monitors, just like we use for our MyFitnessPal, it's another tool to gauge your health in order for you to become better for the rest, right? I'll leave you with the last thing. This is a little nutrition thing, so I promise I'll be short and quick. So Mama G can come right in with this one. I'm not putting anybody down. I actually won't even name any names. I went and spent some time with a friend that will not be announced. And those little acai packs, they're like basically like a fruit smoothie in like a package. They're kicking 350 calories altogether. And I was with this friend, and they had 4 of them. So 350 times 4, 3, 6, 9, 12, 50, 50. So we're looking at 1,400 calories in just legit sugar, carbs, straight to the dome. She was complaining about being hungry the whole time, probably because she wasn't actually eating any food, nothing to satiate her. Then she went out and ordered a beverage. It was a margarita that was blended, must have been another 500 calories. So now you're looking at 1,400 plus 500, like 1,900 calories. And she literally says out loud, I haven't eaten anything all day. And I thought to myself, wow, people don't advocate and ask questions. They could ask multiple questions. They have all of this incredible educational tools surrounding them, especially now with how social media works and how there's just so much information at your fingertips. So Mama G's lifestyle is so awesome because by just her watching me eat we ordered food, I get my food out having, I didn't really look at it. I was kind of faced with a 1-year-old and crazy little situation where we're eating, tempers and whatever. I get the food sent over. I look at it. I say, whoa, I need some food. Like there's protein, there's carbs, there's not one vegetable on this plate. I haven't had any vegetables. Had to ask for a side, for any sides that they had. Was able to get a side salad that they brought it out. I had asked for another one, but made it work. And then was able to actually eat enough food that I actually felt like I had a meal. And she said, "Then how did you know that you weren't going to be full?" And I said, "Well, because I eat, 3 meals with 2 snacks a day every single day, and I have a really good idea of how much food I was going to be able to intake." And she said, "Well, I can never do that." And I thought to myself, you could never do it because you aren't ready to take responsibility for yourself. I didn't say that out loud. I thought it in my head. But my closing statement, you are very unique. You have your own strengths. You have your own weaknesses. You do not need anymore to allow yourself to make exercise and nutrition a weakness. You now have the tools. You now understand how to become and be better for the rest. All you need to do is implement. You make the choice. You execute. So for all of my people, super big shout out to Karen. She's coming into finishing her 2nd month, going into her 3rd, and she has had a transformation and a half. I'm so proud of her. She says thank you to us all the time, but she executed the plan. I want you guys to know that we are here to hold your hand. It is a beautiful end of September. We're going to move into October. Best time of the year, coming to be fall, not quite winter. It's a great time to be outside doing exercise, great time to be making stews, different foods. Let's have a lot of fun coming into this fall. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Samantha B, and you are better for the rest.
Excellent job. As always, Samantha B. Let me get out of here. Stop sharing the screen. Oh, wow. It's always hard having to follow up to that thing there. Jiminy crickets. All right. Well, thankfully, we're recording this. And I will say that tomorrow, I'm going to get with Samantha B, and we're going to do a quick little recap of what went on with Mama G for the last 10 weeks. But I want to just take a moment to remind you all about our weekly roundup. I hope you're getting it. I'm hoping you're enjoying it because it's awesome. We just love it. We love having Mindy as part of Mama G's lifestyle. And she's just getting us all organized. So we're feeling really good about things right now. What else do I want to talk about? I wanted to mention that Spartan training. So guess what? Anybody who's local, it's going to be awesome. And it's for all levels. And then we're going to have a nice, delicious, potluck, healthy brunch. So stay tuned for that. I also want to mention that we are coming up on a new month. So guess what? It's time to bring in those people in your life that need Mama G and Samantha B. But understand this, straight out of the gate, not everybody's ready for the experiment, all right? The experiment requires some real motivation, people that are really sick and tired and who are ready to delve in, because there's a lot of stuff you got to manage on your own. And not everybody is into the group aspect and the virtual thing. So some people are going to need a little Mama G one-on-one. So just know that the experiment exists for a lot of people. Some people need a little experiment Mama G combo. And then there are people that only need Mama G and need Mama G bad. So lots of capabilities there. And for the moment, I got room for them. But appreciate any referrals you bring to us. And I want to follow up with Sam saying, there's so much available at your fingertips, way too much available at your fingertips. Holy crap, folks! That's what gets us into trouble. And we're gonna talk a little bit in a moment about disordered eating and eating disorders. But the last thing I want to say is I'm going to throw out kudos as well to Karen. Karen, who is in her mid 60s, who really started the year as a very unhappy person, she'll tell you. And she just went to the doctor for a checkup, and he looked at her. And remember, she's only been with us since July, officially started with us in August. And he looked at her and said, what happened to the rest of you? And then he wanted to see her graphs on her exercise. Couldn't believe what she was capable of, especially because she started the year with a hip injury. He wanted to see her MyFitnessPal. Couldn't believe the beautiful, nutritious, and delicious food she was eating. And she's playing the game. She's all in. So, hey, we're good with the baby steps. And those of you who want to kind of take the slow route through the Mama G lifestyle, it's all good. But for those of us who are competitive, like Mama G and Samantha B, we love the all in and let's go get this thing 100%. So whatever you need from us, we're going to give you. That brings me to talking about disordered eating and eating disorders. First, I want to separate out what they are. All right. So we know eating disorders. You've heard of anorexia and bulimia. There's a new, it's not part of a real diagnosis, which means it's not in the system, but it's called orthorexia. And these are actually things that have medical and psychological consequences. The level of severity is much different than somebody who has some disordered eating. It is actually potentially deadly. And I forgot about binge eating disorders as well. And so, you have to look for that. Not only do you have to look for that in yourselves, thankfully, I haven't seen that with any of Mama G's clients thus far, but we have to look for people that we love in our lives. You have to look for things like people who are choosing not to eat with you, who walk away from eating situations, don't allow themselves to be eating in eating situation. If you're finding food missing, lots of wrappers in somebody's room, a child's room, maybe there's money missing. These are all little red flags, especially when we're looking at young adults. Life today is not easy, and it's very easy to fall into an eating disorder. We start seeing it with puberty and all of the changes in our bodies that are sometimes difficult to see. And then we also see it with a lot of the fads and trends, with the diets that are out there that can cause eating disorders and disordered eating. So we'll delve into that a little bit, but let me just talk about the opposite, well, not the opposite, but the other side of it, eating issues, which is disordered eating. And 100%, I'm going to say, I definitely have disordered eating. Sometimes get a little obsessive with my nutritious and delicious. Don't like to share my food because I need every calorie that I'm getting. And there is the concern with all of us that are working towards a goal that we're going to approach some disordered eating. But that's the point of the communication that we have, not only on Facebook, the communication that we have via text with you and me, with our experimenters, and the communication with Samantha B on WhatsApp. So we want to be talking about things that feel uncomfortable, that maybe feel concerning, and we're going to bring them up, and we want you to bring them up as well. And it's you're going to know people. You're going to know people who are doing things like intermittent fasting, people who are on the ketogenic diet. Those are all potentially disordered eating patterns. And the reason why we can call them disordered eating, especially with things like restrictive weight loss diets, including intermittent fasting, is that you are starving. Not us, not the Mama G people, but they are starving. And starving is punitive. We actually trying to punish ourselves. And you know what hunger feels like. True hunger is very, very uncomfortable. And there's actually a cost behind that. Because when we actually are starving ourselves through fasting or intermittent fasting or restricting calories in a severe way or restricting food groups, our bodies are not getting what it needs in any capacity, and we're going to, if we're not getting enough calories, it's going to be coming after muscle, it's going to be coming after fat that might be surrounding the heart and the different organs and areas that we need it. And it's potentially very damaging to our bodily processes, including with the fact that we are going to screw up our metabolism. So it's a concern that we want to keep in our minds. But the body is very, very smart. The body really understands what it needs to be at homeostasis. Unfortunately, most of society across the world sits in an obesity epidemic because we don't know what homeostasis is. We overfeed, and then we have the underfeeders and all of those things. But realize that there are genetic predispositions that some of us might have when we're looking at disordered eating and eating disordered, and even in terms of how our bodies tolerate insulin and different foods in our lives, that there are triggers to those genetic predispositions that can strike at any time. And so we really have to be aware of things like when we are perfectionists, and maybe when we have a little bit of an OCD tendency, when we can consider ourselves type A or detail oriented. Those are all things that can potentially push us towards or push us over the edge in terms of disordered eating or eating disorders. We also need to look at family histories. When people struggle with mood and anxiety disorders, people with mood and anxiety disorders have a more of a propensity towards eating disorders. So it's knowledge, and it's powerful knowledge. And then it's a matter of using that powerful knowledge in our work together. So let me just continue to go on why these things come about. And it is likely societal pressures, whether it's pressures we've had at home with family and parents who have had disordered eating or eating disorders. It's society. The Academy Awards were just on the other day, and you see all the beautiful people on the red carpet. Most of them are thin, and we kind of have in our minds that thin goes with happiness and successfulness. But you have to look at what the real truth is. When you look at social media, people tend to be so shiny and pretty, right? And you don't see all the real life crap that people are dealing with. We think that thin means that you're going to be loved more. You're going to be more successful. We try to imagine what the lives are of those people. And, you also have to realize that there's a true cost to being thin, especially for the people that we see on TV and on social media. What's it take for them? What's the preparation look like with their hair and their makeup and their clothing, and them having to spend so much time in the gym or with a trainer, and the expense behind it, and what they're missing out on, the social aspect of it, and the delicious and nutritiousness of the food that they're missing out on. There's a lot of time, and there's a lot of monetary aspects to it that we don't even consider, but it just looks so awesome until you walk by the tabloids and you read about the divorces that are happening and the really scary stuff that's happening for these people. I want to just touch upon my story very quickly. I did have disordered eating. I've always said that I was on the verge of anorexia before anorexia was popular, but really it was disordered eating, not an eating disorder, because I was able to squelch it once I became aware of it. And it was in high school. And it was after I had stopped swimming, when I was very active with the swim team in the school and working out twice a day. And then all of a sudden, that aspect of my life goes away. All of a sudden I have free time, and then it's, now we're partying on the weekends, and we're eating Cheetos by the bagfuls, and we're making cookie dough and eating the whole batch, and we're drinking a case of beer, over the course of the weekend. And all of a sudden, your body says, holy Mama G, what are you doing to me? And I took that to college with me, and then I played the fasting game, and it took years to kind of reestablish a good relationship, self-respect with my body, but it kind of coincided with my getting my bachelor's degree in dietetics and getting married and starting a family. And so ultimately now it's been 31 plus years of living a really self-respected life in terms of treating my body respectfully with food and nutrition and exercise, and we can see the benefits to that lifestyle at the age of 55. So we have to become comfortable with our battle scars. We have to understand that for those of us who have children and that will have children, that there is repercussions to birthing babies and growing babies and raising babies. There are repercussions to gaining excessive amounts of weight. And there are lots of quick fixes. Last night we were having a conversation about my nephew's girlfriend works for a plastic surgeon, and how people were in and they're cheating it, right? They're cheating it by getting liposuction or whatever is going on out there. And here's the real deal. There are procedures out there that help us to feel better about ourselves. And, liposuction is one of those things. And liposuction is a really ideal procedure for somebody who carries fat in one area. Somebody who might have the saddlebags, right? You know what I'm talking about, the person that's thin all over and their hips are very large. And, they eat really well, they exercise, but man, the fat is really resistant in that area. It's genetic. They probably had it their whole life. They could probably look at other family members in the same situation. And liposuction is a really potentially good option for that individual. We see a lot of patients who lose excessive amounts of weight, people who have unfortunately spent years and years of their life gaining excessive amounts of weight, and then they are able to get a handle on it. They exercise, they eat beautifully, and now they have the repercussions of it. And it might require something like a tummy tuck because they have so much excess skin. Or you've seen individuals who carry that excess skin in their arms because, again, they have unfortunately gained excessive amount of weight, and then they have this, the bat wings, as they like to call them. There are surgeries that can really give them a much better quality of life. But it's interesting when you see these commercials on TV. I think it's like a Phoenix, and it's like, come in and you can get multiple procedures at a time. And the fact is that is targeted to people who have significant weight issues, who aren't interested in treating their bodies with self-respect and going after the eating appropriately and the exercising. It's going after the people who just want the quick fix. And unfortunately, you can do all the surgery you want. You can do all the surgery you want over your entire body, but guess what? It's not going to balance out for you. And so there is a point when you have to be able to learn to love your body the way it is, battle scars and all. And we've got to have that positive inner narrative with ourselves. And I will always tell you this, that I loved breastfeeding all four of my children. And I admit wholeheartedly that those four kids sucked the life out of my boobs. And 100% I look like a Cambodian refugee, all right? Because I've always been kind of, on the more thin side. And then I lost all breast tissue. And as we age, we lose body fat, and not always in the areas we want. And so 100% without a good Victoria's Secret bra, Cambodian refugee when I was naked. And you always see me in a bikini anytime, but I had the bra with the padding and the lift and the underwire, and if you peeked inside of there, holy Toledo. But I will tell you, I think you all know that I lost my sister to breast cancer. She was diagnosed at 35, so very young, died 11 years later after a long, vigilant fight. And I've always had issues for 34 years now. They've been following me because of the significant family history. I've had more biopsies than I care to talk about. And I have what they consider dense breasts. So we had always talked about a prophylactic mastectomy, and I just could never pull the trigger until I was diagnosed with bladder cancer 5.5 years ago, cancer-free. And then my breast surgeons were like, you know what, this makes us nervous. We'd really like you to consider a prophylactic mastectomy. And they got me when I was down, and I made a decision to do it. And it was one of the worst and best decisions I've ever made, because I went through hell. I can't even tell you how many surgeries I've had to have, how many infections, how many implants I've had to pull. And, you know, I have 0 breast tissue now. So it's not like I could just pull the implants, because I would be flat as a pancake. And Mama G, you already know, it's got a little bit of a vanity issue. But thankfully, I was able to switch surgeons, and I found somebody who was really great, and we were able to get to the bottom of it. And now my boobs are killer. But, right? Nobody knows what a nightmare it's been. So, you know, had I known, had I gone back, had they not pushed me to it, you know, I would have said, man, there are ways around it. Good bras, you know, Victoria's Secret comes through for the ladies. And it's a matter of learning to love our bodies and having that self-respect. So, you know, this is where we talk a lot about form versus function, right? The capabilities our bodies have. You know, Lisa Photo is, you know, who's celebrating our year anniversary together this month. You know, we made her put on a nice surprise for the hike with a 15-pound weight vest. We really should have put on a 35-pound weight vest, because 35 pounds versus 15 pounds is a whole nother ballgame. And Lisa was a trooper on that hike, but totally capable. One of her big goals, along with getting healthy and living a long, healthy, independent life, was being able to ski with her whole family. She has booked a trip this new year to take the whole family skiing, and she can't wait. She is an avid exerciser, no longer bitching and moaning about the sweat. And it's really amazing. And that's where you have to look to function over form. Holy crap, Lisa Photo could not get herself off the floor unassisted. And now, approaching her 60th birthday, she is up and down and sideways and sit-ups and push-ups, all on her Losum, because she made the decision to treat her body with self-respect. She found Mama G and Samantha B, and together we were able to really make some great strides. And she is by no means done. And it's been slow and steady. All right? Almost 40 pounds in a year, slow and steady. For a lot of people, that would not be acceptable in terms of weight loss. But she has gained so much in the process. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to love the battle scars. If you saw me naked, I kind of look like the Bride of Frankenstein. But thankfully, the scars are fading, and all the trauma from my surgeries are fading. And I am going to Tahoe this weekend to kill the World Championship course. And I'm going to win a world record, because I'm going to win the fastest swim time in that freaking freezing cold water than anybody on that course. Stay tuned. Maybe they'll put me on Spartan Live. But anyway, let me get Samantha B on here. Unmute her. Are you unmuted, Samantha B? Let me get us on the unspotlight. Let's spotlight Samantha B and Logan here for a minute. And Samantha B, what do you have to say?
This is Sandy, and you are better for the rest.
And Mama G always says it is not about what you lose, folks. It is 100% about what you gain. Go get it, Logan.